Hey, welcome back to Sociology of Cars podcast. This is your host, Jimmy XIE. You're listening to the 7th episode of Season 2 brought to you by 0 to 60 Studios in San Dimas, California. My guests today are literally 3 legends of the LA Canyon carver scene, Jade, Gen, and Dom. So Dom and Jade, you guys are no strangers to the show, but for those who may not know who you are, really quickly, what should the national audience know about you, Dom?
I grew up in the car scene, literally from the time I was like 3 years old. I have pictures on the lawn at Monterey at 5 with a purple Lamborghini. And I remember that. That was a huge part in my life. And so I've been driving, being in the car scene has been a huge part of my life. And it's not just Canyon stuff. It's not just truck stuff. It's not just import stuff. It's literally somebody who grew up with cars as their main passion in life.
Wow. It's like a true enthusiast who appreciates everything cars.
Absolutely.
Got it. What about you, Jade?
You know, I realized I didn't say too much about me in the prior episode, but growing up, I would say that my father and my mother were the biggest inspirations as to why I'm into the car scene in the first place. I just remember my dad driving me in a particular car that had quite a lot of torque, and it was the most exciting thing in my life. And then I grew up on a lot of Gran Turismo, kind of like simulators, and just got into the scene. I credit my mother and Gran Turismo 5 for the PS3 as my the reason why I drive so well, I believe. And then, at the end of the day, I somehow finagled my way into the BMW community just because between my parents and myself, I think we had like 8 BMWs total. So, and I was the first one to get an M car in the family. So, I just had to do it right. And I just had to do it with like what I consider the ultimate modern M car. And it's the F87 M2. I'm in love with the thing.
Got it. What's your current touge car and what is your go-to canyon road?
Well, current touge car is my current daily, which would be the M2. So,
what's your go-to road?
Go-to road.
Ooh.
I haven't done it enough, but I do like Little Tujunga. I think it's very technical, very twisty. But at the end of the day, ACH is the way to go.
Got it. What about you, Dom? What is your go-to car right now and what is your favorite canyon road now?
Still the diesel, the 1983 300 SD. My go-to road is a lesser well-known road, actually. A lot of people do some of the main big popular roads, but I grew up doing back and forth between Santa Clarita and the Antelope Valley. So Bouquet Canyon is my go-to road.
Got it. So finally, Gen, who the heck are you?
Hi, I'm Gen. I was born and raised in Japan. My 80s and 90s was my youth years, so I'm very old compared to you guys. Maybe your dad's age, so please respect me.
Still look youthful.
Anyway, so I was fully blessed with Japan's touge culture at the beginning, and I happened to be raised very near the spring spa town called Hakone, which is top of Japanese touge culture. 1 hour away from Tokyo, and beautiful road and beautiful scenery. And I moved to San Francisco in 1995 and lived in San Francisco until 2022. And I did lots of driving in Northern California. And for 2.5 years, I live in LA and really enjoying road around here.
Wow. So what is your current go-to canyon car in LA and what is your current canyon road?
Yeah, I was fortunate to have a bunch of old cars, but my go-to canyon beater is 2009 987.2 Cayman. Yeah, that's very underpowered, only 260 horsepower, very reliable and very affordable, like a 25,000 or something. And I'm really blown away with how capable the car is. My go-to area is Malibu because I live in west side of Santa Monica area. However, I go to HCH pretty much every Friday for Goodbye Breakfast Club. I do bouquet and the Lake Hughes once a week.
Yes.
On the way to this podcast recording, I did GMR and others. So, I like I like a variety of the road. Yeah.
Got it. Let's dive into what we're here for. Canyon etiquette. Let me stress the word etiquette. The first topic, sideshows in the canyons and also showing off at or near the car meet. What do we have to say about that?
There's been many instances where I've seen hooliganism, I would suppose, in the canyons. Generally speaking, when I'm near Newcomb's Ranch, I expect everybody to be well behaved, and 99.9% of the time, that is the case.
Yes.
However, there's been, and this is no stranger to just Newcomb's, but I feel as though there are certain there's people that are, generally speaking, I believe are first timers that go up there, and they want to just show off. They want to do a burnout. Sometimes they'll do a little bit of an exhaust rev, I think that's a little just like irritating. But I think what's more irritating is if you're doing a flyby by Newcomb's, like full speed flyby.
I agree.
Yeah.
I think pulling away and hearing your exhaust when you pull out is a different thing than doing a full flyby.
Yeah.
There was a time when there was less people and early or late type crew when you go to certain events is a big thing. But also, if you're leaving an event, there's a proper way to leave aggressively and still show off your exhaust without necessarily keep the wheel spin under control is the best way to put it. You can leave a thing, a little bit, but don't be sitting there before you leave revving, doing all this stuff. And I feel like part of the problem, and this is going to be a controversial topic, is the Porsche community, because they okay it if it's a PDK car doing launch control. But if anybody else does it,
It's a problem.
it's a problem. And so it's unclear a lot of the time. This goes back to etiquette and Canyon. They're like, oh, well, it's a PDK car, so they have to do the full launch. But if anybody else, oh, well, we don't like how a Z06 sounds. We don't like how a Civic sounds. So when they do it, it's a problem. If you're going to start, something, it needs to be uniform across the board. It needs to be, hey, your car's a little loud. Leave. Don't get squirrely. Don't be stupid. If you have 1,000 horsepower, if you have 200 horsepower, it doesn't matter. You can, use the straightaways for the straightaway. Don't launch while you're still at an angle. Don't fly by not just Newcomb's, but anywhere that there's a big meet of people. The old place in Malibu, up on GMR where the turnouts are, where cars are. Don't do a full speed flyby where you might go into a crowd.
Right. So it sounds like a lot of the Porsche guys have been naughty, but then they blame it on the BMW guys.
I mean, it could be possible. I mean, I know that there is a subset of the BMW community that is definitely into hooliganism.
We like to call them the Burbletoon boys.
Burbletoon boys for sure. In my case, it was stock from the factory.
Yeah, that's different.
I don't purposely tune it. But that being said, it's usually the younger demographic. They want to show off. They just got their car. I don't know what it is. Big financing. It could be, parents' money. I have no clue. But they feel invincible in the car, and they feel more empowered to do reckless things at the end of the day.
On my way here today, I snapped a photo of myself driving my BMW, and my caption was "Let the fuckboy summer begin." Anyway,
Yeah, turbocharged BMW, modern day BMW is very cheap horsepower. Yeah, attract certain demographics, Yeah.
yeah,
And you plug in a computer and you've got 100 more horsepower. So
Email on a downpipe is what we would call it. But more back to your point, Dom, about doing a flyby. There have been instances, and it's not exclusive to just the car community. It's also the bike community as well. Where
Yes,
there's
very much.
and I'm sure you've known of a particular incident where somebody flew by on a bike as somebody was turning into the parking lot, and this can happen anywhere.
Yep.
It just hit the guy's door basically. And
What?
it's like, well, like
It could have been a lot worse situation than it was. But yeah, the bike was trying to show off and wasn't looking where they were going because they were paying attention that there's people. And so they sideswiped a car. Luckily, sideswiped instead of rear-ended because it could have been a much more serious injury.
You know, the most frustrating thing about the flybys is kind of like, hey, we've all seen cars before. Thank you very much, right?
Right.
And it's like, it's not cool anymore if you actually hurt somebody or spin out.
Or if you almost do. Like, you shouldn't, there's showing off and there's enjoying your car. And you have to know where that line.
Right. So speaking of showing off, I also know that some people do a full-on burnout. That happened once at Newcombs, and everybody was booing the guy in a Pontiac.
Yes, which I think is a good thing. You should not the burnout, but dying down that type of behavior at any events. And so here's the big thing. Like you said, takeovers and stuff. Takeovers is one of the stupid things because this wasn't an issue. I grew up in the street racing scene in the mid 2000s, and I lived around, and we never had police issues because everything was out away from everything. It was you're talking like where all the trucks load up and everything, just like big, like away from people, away from anything. You're only going to injure yourselves type thing. And then loading docks. You want to go do donuts and go do burnouts? Go to an empty loading dock or an empty parking lot at like midnight, away from everybody. Don't go in the middle of the street. Don't block people. Don't go near public roads. You can do that stuff. And most of the time when we were out away from stuff, even if a cop did roll by, they'd be like, what are you guys doing? Okay, keep it in the parking lot. Don't do this shit on my street because if I see you do it on the street, I'm writing you up and impounding all the cars. So like it's always been a part of culture, the burnouts, the doing stuff, like because you're young. You want to, the burnouts are fun. Like donuts are fun. But there's a place for it, like the track. There's drift events. There's even events now at the track where they rent out the burnout boxes and they're like, give us $20 and go destroy your rear tires. Go have fun,
Right.
There's always a time and place, yeah.
Yeah.
And also recently I've been seeing a lot more drifting and donuts in the turnout in the canyons. I don't like that either.
I have a very strong opinion about donuts
Oh, let's hear.
in the turnout area. Oftentimes, when it's really large and you can do burnout, kind of deep end of the turnout or something, if there's nobody, it's go for it. But if you do that along the road you drive, there's stones and gravel spilling into the street, and that turnout be very dangerous for regular people going through these corners.
Absolutely.
I see so many accidents after, sand blasted after donuts, So it's just, when you do it, please think about it. Other people have to go through the road, and that may create a catastrophic event.
Yeah, because dirt can turn into ice at high speed, realistically.
Pretty much, yeah.
Well, and also you damage the pavement at the turnout too. All those little potholes I think are created by donuts, right?
Not yes and no, not necessarily. Like parts of it are just those aren't maintained areas of road because you only need to park there. You're not driving in them, so they don't focus on the turnouts.
And also
as
it's
much as they would the
subject
main
to extreme inclement weather as well.
which is going to happen a lot in the mountain. We have snow, we have rain, but
High
in
winds,
a day it can go from 30 to 90 degrees, and that's huge on asphalt and all of the stuff that you are paving. It matters. The natural elements are always going to do a lot. It's why driving in canyons is different every single day, because how a road is today isn't how it's going to be tomorrow, because you deal with so many of the natural elements.
But I think going back to Gen's point, there is a time and place to do these kinds of things. And,
Exactly.
And in terms of, especially when it comes to tossing stones, we need to be really careful about
where. Yes.
And especially people that might drift into the center median where there's a lot more stones there. It's hey, buddy, stay in your lane kind of thing,
Agreed.
So we just need to be a lot more courteous of not just each other, but the roads as well.
And the bikers.
how we use it. Oh,
because a lot of the motorcycles, one rock can take down a motorcycle.
Yep.
And people don't think of the bikers, because a lot of people when they're driving cars, it's unfortunate that they don't factor in, oh, hey, there's motorcycles on this road. If they lean, they're in full lean sometimes, and one rock can take the whole bike from underneath.
Got it. let's talk about what it means to know your limit, because I hear people talk about this a lot, like drive within your limit, know your limit. What's your definition of that? Because I will tell you this, sometimes when I'm driving, right, I got a little carried away, I got a little four-wheel drifting going on, the car getting a little happy. To me, that is still within my limit because, first of all, I'm just approaching it a little bit, and some of it is artificial, right? Maybe I put my foot down a little bit too early, but it's still in full control. And sometimes you do want to carry a little bit of a slip angle, kind of cool, kind of fast, but it doesn't mean that I'm outside of my limit. To me, what it means to be, so let's say if a corner is coming, I have no idea if I can carry this amount of speed into the corner, but I still did regardless. That is called outside of my limit, right? So limit is the limit of my knowledge of what that car can do. What is your definition?
Very, very inquisitive question. I think when you're approaching the outside of your limit, I would probably say is that you've unsettled the car in a very drastic way. Like if you're the type of person that's pushing, like you're pushing the car, pushing it, and you go around a corner and you're taking that corner way too fast, way too deep, and you have to brake mid-corner and the car has to unsettle and you're like, oh shit. And you got to do, basically, evasive maneuvers at that point to keep everything in line. I think you're kind of going over it at that point. Knowing the proper braking zone, the proper way to accelerate in and out of a corner, that's all essential. What I've been seeing at ACH, for example, for the last 6 or 7 months or so, especially back in November when I was going pretty often, was that weekly, there was somebody that was just flying off the canyon. And it always looked like some first timer always up there. They were never a person that was a regular. It was always somebody that absolutely had no idea. It's their first time. One of their friends told them, oh, there's a beautiful road. Oh, let's just go fucking like hammer it, right? Whatever.
Usually GT3, right?
It's no strain. No mark is safe up there. Porsche owners, BMW owners,
Skylines
Infinities,
Infinities, a lot of Infinities. Yeah,
Right.
Yeah.
Mopars have been the recent problem.
Oh yeah, definitely.
So again, what is your definition of driving within your limit?
My definition is don't speed beyond the points that if somebody was deer or something jumped into you, or if you cannot stop at the blind corner with something obstacle, as long as you can just maneuver these things,
Got it.
I think that's sort of a limit of what you should do.
So leave some room for error.
Exactly. Yeah.
Got it. What about you, Dom?
I think I agree with Gen on the fact of you need to leave room for error, especially we're talking canyon driving etiquette, and it's not a track. You can still go quickly. We all drive quickly. We all drive within the legal limit, of course. But so you are driving somewhere that you have to understand that you have a respect that has been kind of earned by you and the other people there. There's a reason that some of the canyons aren't as monitored because they're like, hey, if you're going up there, you're being safe. And essentially we've even talked to some of the law enforcement and they're like, don't make us show up for something. Don't get in an accident. Just be safe. So with driving within your limit, I feel like a big thing of it is how far can you see? How well do you know the road? Because just because I have good talent doesn't mean I could go and drive, say, the tail of the dragon in Tennessee and automatically be on like pushing other cars because I've never been there before. I know of the road, but it's like I haven't driven that road before. So slow down, make sure you have good visibility. My biggest thing of driving within your limit is if you have room, always factor in, what if something jumps out in front of me? What if something jumps out in front of me? What if somebody comes into my lane?
You're no stranger to that.
You have to, yeah. Yeah, I had a deer jump directly into the car.
Jesus.
Not in front of the car, into the face of it. It's the only thing I've ever, and once again, animal strikes are, it's nature. It's something you can't really do anything about.
Just wanted to naturally select themselves.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, and also just like make the right friends, right? The true friends will not push you to drive beyond your limit.
And yeah, I think that's a big thing too, is you should know what your limits are. And most groups, especially if you've been driving together with friends or if you've seen other people in the canyons, like when I follow Gen in the canyons, I'm like, I know he's a good driver. So if he's taking a line, I can take it. I've seen multiple times when I've been going up the thing, I'm like, oh, sweet, he's driving. And you get excited to see your friends that are skillful because you're like, I know I'm safe following this person.
I think a big problem is that there are a lot of drivers out there in these big groups that succumb to peer pressure.
Absolutely.
They see a car behind them and they want to prove to themselves that they can outpace it, outmatch it.
Right.
And what ends up happening is that they outdrive themselves at the end of the day, or overdrive.
Yeah,
And
I literally don't do any large group drive.
smart.
Most of the time, I drive myself, and maybe once a week or so, maybe 2-3 good friends who know who can drive.
Right.
And in a large group, especially those, but some of the participants you don't know, anything could happen. I was on a drive on Bouquet Canyon months ago. It's very rainy, cold day. There's a few air-cooled Porsche drivers showed up. I haven't even seen. And the 3-car crash on Bouquet Canyon.
Oh, wow.
Totally different point. And it's really dangerous because, somebody in front of you driving really fast on old Porsche, that doesn't mean that you cannot do that.
Correct.
Yeah.
Right. Again, I learned my lesson. Now I'm going to, just drive by myself now. Because driving by yourself is really nice.
It is.
When you're in a group, it's a lot of pressure, a lot of things to prove, especially if you're amongst a lot of men.
I do run it. I think the more people you have in a group, the more egos you're dealing with when you're driving. And that's what people crash over. It's ego. They crash over ego most of the time. It's not over the thing because they're trying to, like Jade said, like they're trying to prove to themselves, oh, well, I can outpace this car. I can. Sometimes you can't. Sometimes just, hey, let somebody else,
Right.
they're a quicker driver. Which brings it back to driving within your limits. But yes.
Right. So obviously there's a lot of external stuff that we also need to pay attention when driving on the road. One of the things is driver communication. There's many ways that we can communicate with other drivers. One of the big things, use the turnouts. Can we all talk about the use of turnouts, please?
You want to take this one again? I know you're big on the turnouts.
I mean,
Well, so first of all, what is a turnout?
and turnout is that's clear enough, lane that the slow car can stop to let the fast car go. And I think in California, if you have a 3-car or more driving behind you, the person in front of the driver in front of it have to show the other car away, even at the speed limit. So I come across a bunch of drivers, but first of all, I do early in the morning, so I don't need to deal with the rest of the slow cars that need to use turnout. But I tend to do one honk when turnout comes up, so that the driver in front of you know, slow car use turnout kind
And
of
some people
situation.
even flash at you just to be like, yo.
I'll use a flash sometimes because that's my first step is just the lights. Sometimes the flash, like, hey, it escalates is the best way. I try not to bully people in the canyons, but like it's a friendly reminder because sometimes I'm coming up from further away. So if I'm like a quarter mile behind them and I see that, I'm like, hey, car back here, just so that you know. I then once I get close enough to honk, then it'll be like a honk honk, like please use the turnout.
Right.
And as much as I try to be polite and a gentleman and nice, there's times where, okay, you missed the first turnout. Maybe that's your first time here. Oh, okay, you missed the second turnout. Okay, now you're doing 20 miles an hour and not using any of the turnouts and being an absolute dick for no reason. Because they think they're enforcing the law, but they're not.
Right.
Because I've been in the mountains, I've seen where like they'll have 4 and 5 cars behind them and a cop will come around and they're like, oh, cool, they're going to pull out and they pull over the person in the front because they're blocking the road.
Yep.
And they're like, oh, well, these people were going fast. Well, it's not your job to instill. So for me, if there's a car behind me at all, I let them use, I will use a turnout. Like unless it's somebody who's like, oh no, stay ahead. Like I want to follow you. Like usually this is like, it's hard to see the signal because it's a podcast, but the hand wave forward, like, no, stay ahead of me. Like, and they'll give you the flash. But also as soon as a car comes up behind me at speed, I will signal to the right to let them know, hey, I'm going to use the next turnout.
Yep.
Right. So it doesn't matter if it's like 3 cars, 4 cars. If there's a faster traffic behind you, just pull the fuck over.
Yes, because then you can enjoy your drive and they can enjoy their drive and you're not everyone gets to actually,
Right. So you're not speeding for other people. You're not slowing down for other people. You go at your own pace. You just got to allow other people to go at their pace by using the turnout.
My rule of thumb is if car is coming behind me and the distance doesn't expand in getting widen in two corners, I surrender. Please go ahead. Two corners.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think of a very particular word in Korean called nunchi. And that word means, it's basically, there's no direct translation in English, but it basically means like reading the room.
Yeah.
And when you're in a situation where, or if you're one of those people where you're not using a turnout and you have 7+ cars behind you and you see this big, just convenient space on the road, every, 100, 300 feet that you can use to pull off, you just have absolutely no visibility. You have absolutely no care or regard for anybody except yourself. I think it is one of the most greedy fucking things that you could possibly do is just sit there at your own speed limit on a 1-lane road and not let people pass. This happened to me coming down from Monterey.
Oh, no.
And I'm trying to enjoy Big Sur, right? This is a little bit of a story time, very, very brief. But I'm driving down Big Sur, and there's this guy, and there's about five cars in front of me. This guy is refusing to take turnouts, and there's so many of them. And he can brake, he could signal, he could do anything, but he's not doing it. Yeah. There comes a point in the road where there's breaks in the line to allow you to pass. Yeah. I'm like, well, we passed about 15 fucking turnouts, and I'm like, you know what? At this point, I'm just gonna go and pass.
Yeah.
My problem was, okay, I just passed, but I'm on the way to San Luis Obispo, and I really need to go to the bathroom. So I'm trying to create a time interval here, right?
Yes.
So I get past him, and I'm like, okay, I got 5 minutes to try to pee.
Yeah.
So I'm making a 5-minute interval while I'm driving, and I'm just like, you know what? Yeah, we're gonna do it, right? Did it and whatever. But this wouldn't have happened if we just let people pass, because I feel like it encourages people to engage in reckless behaviors. For me, in my situation, there was a break in the road, and there was about a 2-mile visibility.
Yep.
Lots of distance, right? There's a proper way to pass.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. So, but not a lot of people know that at the end of the day. And these people force their hand, and it forces accidents, and it makes a more dangerous environment at the end of the day.
Right. And literally, if there's a car behind me, right, I'll use pissing as an example. If I'm pissing in the bathroom, someone's standing behind me, I can feel them staring at me. It gets really uncomfortable. I want to walk away. It's the same thing. If a car behind me, I voluntarily, even if there's no law, I just want to pull the heck over because I don't want someone staring into my butt. It's uncomfortable. But somebody, they just love that. They see a whole train. They're like, yoo-hoo, we're going to wherever. And it's like, no, like nobody is happy behind you. And it's usually a Prius.
It's usually a Prius or a minivan, and with the families. And that's the other thing. What bugs me, because I have family that, has multiple children. And I always tell them, I'm like, if you're going to go places and camping and drive safely, because don't be that person in the minivan that is causing dangerous situations around your own kids. And a lot of them, they don't think about it that way. They only think of themselves. They don't think that their kids are in the car or do you really, really need to prove your point so much that you can't just move over, let the faster cars go by? And sometimes it's a topic for kids, because sometimes they're like, oh, cool car. Like they get to see more of that stuff growing up, because if you're going, because think about this, most good roads are up to a campsite, are up to a mountain, they go somewhere that you're sharing the roads with, not just the young or even more mature people that want to get out and drive. Because a lot of the best drivers, and the thing I tell people is, if they are over 50 and in the canyons, they can outdrive you. Don't have an ego around it. Yes, exactly. Again, yeah,
it's age part.
Yeah, it's because they've been doing this for a long time. It's experience. That's all it is. It's experience. It's the same reason when you go to the racetrack, the fast guys you see a lot of the time at the track, they're in their 70s and 80s, and you're like, that dude's barely walking. But I get on track, and I don't even see his bumper. Right. He's just gone.
I'd rather see a situation where a minivan pulls off the side of the road and lets the angry, aggressive tailgater just force his own hand.
Yeah.
I don't want to see a situation where a minivan forces a bad situation. Let the guy outdrive himself. He'll fuck up.
Yeah.
But don't be that person that makes people fuck up.
Yes.
That makes sense.
Yeah, I get.
So it seems like ego can really go both ways. Some people it's like, oh, I gotta go fast because I gotta prove something. Some people it's like, I gotta go slow to hold up whoever I think is speeding.
Yes.
You know, I always say to people, right? The canyon road for me is for track enthusiasts to practice car control when they're not on track. So I'll tell you this: a lot of people go to the canyons. So a lot of people go to canyons and they're like, "Oh, I'm a camper." I call that BS because here's the thing: I think the so-called campers are really nudists who are looking to jerk off in public and in the wild, but they disguise themselves as campers. So don't give me that bullshit. And I'm certainly not a camper.
I mean, going back to everything is that if you want to drive, now good spirited and just wake up early.
Yeah.
Hit the road at 6 a.m.
Yep.
and bright and early.
So real quick, how do we use the flash? Do we use flashing light at all?
Yes.
How do we use horn?
So with you can use flashing lights as politeness too, because a lot of the times, so like I've been coming up and I see a faster car behind me, and they'll hit the double flashers, and I hit the emergency lights immediately to be like, hey, I see you. So they're like, cool. Then you'll notice if somebody's coming up on you really quick and they flash you and you hit them with the emergencies, they'll back off and they'll give you room because that gives you extra room to take the turnout. Yeah, so they'll do one of those. So you can use light as a courtesy thing too.
Got it. And then in terms of using the horn, can you honk?
Yes, I think you should. Anyway, going back to flash, I drive canyon with lights on all the time. So more visibility from people coming, behind me or in front of me or coming other direction. But does in a bright light, is flashing works to notify slow car in front of you?
Yes, so not like don't hold the brights on like huge, like try to but just a quick tap so that it's enough to get your eye, because it's enough to draw your eye to the rear view mirror.
And nothing obnoxious too, not like hitting it constantly.
It's two flashes, like 1, 2.
Okay.
Yeah.
Got
I'll
it.
try next. I usually go for honk because assuming you cannot, front driver in front of you cannot see the kind of two flash or something.
Right. So let's say if a car refuses to use the turnout, can I drag my horn? Sometimes I do that.
You can, but you have to realize that you're escalating a situation. So it's, what is it worth to you? Is that pass that important? Do you know the road? Do you think they're going to take maybe a different route and turn off into one of the things? And that's where Jade kind of brought it up, is like he had to do, it was a safe pass. He made sure that he passed safely, but he had to pass because the car didn't yield to them, which it's every single sign in the canyon says yield to faster drivers. It's never, slow down for slow drivers. Everything's use turnouts, yield to faster traffic. But for some reason, this still has not come across to so many people in the mountains that like, hey, if I'm driving a canyon road and I'm the slow person, I'm being the asshole. Like, you don't need to speed, but you need to utilize the safe zones. And yeah, you can honk at them. But if you honk at them, you have to realize some people will all of a sudden get angry because someone honked at them, or they'll get nervous, or it's their first time on a mountain and they've never been on, twisty roads before. And then they're high energy. So you can honk, but with caution is the best way to put it.
And it's so interesting. There's so many nuances to it too, right? Because somebody, let's say, if they want me to use the turnout, but they're so close to me to the point where I feel like if I break into a turnout, they might rear end me. So leave that distance, and then
that's where you put your hazards on and indicate like, hey, I'm going to use the next turnout, because then when you see that, a lot of the times they'll back off and they're like, okay, I'll let him go at his pace until the turnout.
But also there could be a portion of miscommunication there where they think, you're putting your hazards on.
Well, a flash of them, not holding them on. Yeah.
Yeah, because some people might mistake that and think, I'm going to pass them right now. And that could be a little bit of a risky situation depending on where you do that. Just quickly going back to what you were mentioning earlier about like kind of like my pass. I understand like the yellow, don't cross the yellow people are going to be a little bit like, but like, again, there's areas to do it. This was literally a break in the road.
Yeah.
where you're allowed to do it. There's many areas in the countryside. Like I know like a lot of Californians are very insulated and they don't know anything about traveling across other state lines, but there are roads where you can actually cross on the other side.
Yes.
So you just have to do that very safely at the end of the day.
Yeah, if you have long, straight visibility, most roads actually do give you the ability, like, to pass.
Yeah.
Right. Wow, it's so nuanced, this topic. I feel like we can just go on and on for 10 hours, right?
It's a
part
certain
two.
topic like double yellowing is, for certain people, you never win.
Right. So that being said, why don't we take a little break? And when we come back, uphill versus downhill, car prep before a canyon run, dealing with different kinds of car crowds. You're listening to Sociology of Cars podcast. This is Jimmy XIE. Hey listeners, you hear me talk about our amazing sponsor 0 to 60 all the time because they're just so freaking cool. So it's the word 0, numeral 2, the word 60. Again, it's the word 0, numeral 2, word 60. Look us up on Instagram for a full range of services that we offer. Dom, you've been here twice already. What do you think of 0 to 60? Has your impression changed at all?
I think the facility is amazing. I think I really like seeing some of the projects that they actually build. The 2 C8s down there, I'm telling you, I haven't experienced a C8 yet, so if 0 to 60 wants to show me what they can actually do with a C8, a Corvette is high on my list. So
Perfect.
I would very much like to see the cars that they actually build as their stuff because I'm interested in the whole facility. And I think the sim racing thing that they have here too is just absolutely outstanding.
You know, when you come here to play the sim or getting your PPF or vinyl done, you can also appreciate all of the cars that's parked outside. You never know what you're going to run into. Right now, we have a gorgeous M2 CS parked out front with carbon ceramic brakes and gold wheels, and also a beautiful purple 230i, I believe that is what it is, and also a 911. Jen, what did you think of 0 to 60 when you first walked in here today?
I like kind of a car guy's crib, sort of clubhouse kind of vibe.
Ooh.
Yeah, I can see, local car guys kind of hang out, enjoy sparkling water
Right, we just
from
had
Mexico or doing sim racing. And it's local people or anybody from LA should come here and hang out
Right.
and enjoy,
Right. Jade, what do you think?
I think it's a good place to get a car delivered, but also an incredible spot to get all your services done, such as your PPF and ceramic coating. I, in fact, am getting my car PPF'd here as well. So,
Oh,
yeah.
You know, Jade actually just 5 minutes ago took delivery of his brand new M2 CS, and he's getting his car PPF'd and tinted at 0 to 60.
Yes, I am. And what a day it's been. So thank you 0 to 60 for hosting us. Really
Wow.
appreciate it.
You know, 0 to 60 is not just a service provider, but it's a place where we make memories happen. Downstairs, we have the simulator, we have the PPF shop. Upstairs, we have the studio, and next door, we have the printing shop. What can you not do at 0 to 60? Just come on over, meet all of the cool guys, the good-looking guys. Maybe not me, but you get to meet Dom, Jen, Gun, and also Jade. So come on over, look us up on Instagram, and nobody gets hurt. Wow, thank you all so much for sharing your experience today and your insight. So another huge thing that everybody is wondering about, how do you deal with motorcyclists and cyclists on the road? What is the etiquette there?
I will start with the motorcyclists. I feel there has been a huge shift, and this is as I would say, more old school canyon driver, because I started my canyon experience. Like, I got my AMG. I was driving it. I was very lucky when I was younger. My first car that I bought myself was a 55 AMG, and I grew up driving it in the Malibu canyons when the Snake was still open. So when the Snake was still open, there was a whole lot better balance of respect between motorcycles and cars in the LA canyons in general, I felt like.
Right, so what is the etiquette?
The etiquette there is be safe and always account for give them room to pass. Like if you're going to flag a biker by, don't flag them by around a blind corner. Don't go and, don't block them. And if you're going to come up behind them and you want to pass them, you don't really, really ride the back of them, because that can cause them to make a mistake. They're looking behind you. They're not looking where they're going. And as you know, in the mountains, even a split second of distracting, looking behind you instead of looking in front of you where you're going, can change your trajectory. And
What about cyclists?
this is cyclists many a time will say, share the road, but they forget that they didn't say share the bike lane. It's not a bike lane. Don't be in the middle of the road uphill on a blind corner doing 2 miles an hour, because if you don't value your life, why should anybody else?
Okay, I have a hot take when it comes to that. I'm a cyclist too.
Okay.
But not as much now, right? I think that cyclists should only ride on riverbeds, because that's what I do. I only do it on PCH on the boardwalk or on the riverbeds. I never take it out to a canyon or the public road. It's like, are you crazy?
PCH is a good place for bikes to ride, because you have you have a wide open bike lane. You also have a lot of other bikers that usually will jump in and kind of do the whole PCH ride very, very far up in both directions. And
I don't even ride on the road. I ride on the boardwalk.
oh, okay.
You see what I'm saying?
Yes.
I think that a lot of the cyclists, on Angeles Crest in particular, have a death wish.
Yeah, which they might be working through some other stuff that we, in sociology.
They're going through some hard times.
Yeah.
Right. And you know what really infuriates me, though, is it's not new, especially to locals, that Angeles Crest has a lot of sports cars, especially on Friday mornings.
Correct.
You know there's going to be a lot of cars there. You know it's dangerous, yet you made a decision to ride up there with 30 cyclists. Are you fucking kidding me? You ran towards the gun barrel.
It's knowing when, it's a time and place, like Gen said earlier. Like if you want to wake up at 6:30 and do something, But also now, if you want to ride a canyon road, the Snake is fully open for bicyclists.
Really?
We can't ride it, or we can't drive it with cars, but bicyclists, you want to get that climbing up a thing, you want to go down, you're allowed to ride a bicycle on certain roads that cars can't go on. So figure out what roads maybe, cars won't be there. And then you get to it's the same thing of respecting each other's space. Like you get to go and get your exercise in, you get to go and get your, your bike ride in, and you don't put yourself in a dangerous situation.
Right. And I have another hot take when it comes to, safety and getting your exercise in. Motorcyclists, in my opinion, are the bossiest people in the canyons. Because here's the thing. Out of all the population on this planet, motorcyclists should understand the frustration of other people not having good etiquettes, right? Lane shuffling. People block their lane. People don't leave enough space. People assume that they can just stop on a dime. So they're the abused. But the abused become the abuser. In the canyons, they don't pull over for me, even though I'm clearly faster. I'm just like, you understand, out of all people, what that feels like to not have etiquette. Yet you're here, abused becomes the abuser.
Well, I also feel it depends on the type of bike. Sport bike riders versus Harley riders are a whole
different dimension.
Exactly. Yeah. And I'm not, obviously there's other bikes than just sport bikes and Harleys. There's, the cafe racers and everything, but you get the general concept of it. So I think it depends also based off of the type of riders, like what type of bike they're on, what type of which, and don't get me started on trike people, because those are not.
While I do think that cyclists are a major issue in the canyons, it's also good. Like when we were talking about driving to the limit, I think it's very important to understand that, yes, we need to leave a little bit of wiggle room in terms of errors that could potentially be made. I say this because, yes, you can go, you can corner, you can do everything perfect, right? But there could be a cyclist around a blind corner. How do you prepare for that? Absolutely. How do you prepare for that inevitability? Also, you have to make sure that you pass them in a way that's, well, I don't want to say courteous. I feel like I'm giving them too much leeway here, but
as safe as possible.
As safe as possible.
Yes.
Correct. So that's kind of like my opinion on cyclists. When it comes to motorcyclists, I haven't really encountered that too often in the canyons.
They never pull over for me.
And that's unfortunate. I feel like, and this doesn't relate to the canyons, but I feel like I have a good repertoire with them, because I'm always the guy
as well,
in the carpool lane as a single occupant who pulls off to the side for them. And I always get that peace sign flash, and I'm like, I live for that.
Yes,
I
that's the
fucking live
best.
for that.
That is the best when you're on the freeway and like you see them coming up because you're watching your mirrors and you give them that little bit of room and they give you the like. It's awesome. It makes your day.
Yep.
You're like, cool. It's a nonverbal communication of I see you, you see me, and it's like it adds to more positivity. Yeah.
Then I know that you drive in Malibu a lot, and when I see those cyclists on Malibu Canyon roads, I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? You have a death wish.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess my first thing is just go early so you can avoid them. You know, I mean, you never win, you know, if you come across somebody who don't want to let you go.
Right.
Mostly bicycle, downhill. Some of them go very fast, but not fast enough for your pace. It's a tricky situation. And even though I pass very carefully on downhill on Tuna Canyon, they hate me. So especially when they're driving with bunch and
Right. Well, so I think that you bring up a really good point about downhill and uphill. Right. What are some of the etiquettes or expectation difference? How should you adjust your driving based on
Can I go for that topic?
Yes.
Just I think one of the most important things about canyon driving that people don't notice is downhill, you be extra careful. Because based on my experience and observation, I think the majority of accidents happen on downhill because people underestimate how much speed you will carry. So I just want to tell everybody that if you want to push your car, do uphill. And, uphill, in upcline road can help you with stopping or slowing down in tricky situation. But in downhill, sometimes the speed goes through and brake can get worn and something unfortunate will happen in downhill.
Right. So definitely be mindful that downhill you need to be careful. Don't push other people and use the turnout if your brake is melting and stuff.
Yeah.
What if your brake actually fails? Do you just quickly maneuver to the side and hit the hillside or?
There's many ways to work around it. So first off, you shouldn't be overheating your brakes on a downhill. If you are, you're driving past your limit. You're driving past the car's limit. A lot of people want to throw horsepower at their cars and they never upgrade the brakes or tires. The first thing you should ever be doing if you're going on a canyon is brakes and tires. Like those are the most important. Make sure those are up to snuff before you do anything else. And Gen made a great point of the fact that it's basic physics. When you're going downhill, your car weighs more hypothetically because the weight is also dealing with gravity. So you're also dealing with gravity coming down. You want to be downshifting more instead of necessarily braking. So you're using engine braking, you're using transmission braking, you're using the actual car to slow down instead of brakes every time I need to slow down, brakes every time I need to slow down. You are maintaining speed downhill. You are not necessarily building it downhill. You are building speed when you go uphill, but when you're going downhill, you want to pretty much maintain your speed and then just brake only when you really need to. And it's a smoother transit. You're not going to be able to floor it out of every corner. You're not going to be able to hear that, but you can slow down, downshift, get that nice little from your exhaust and hear it. What a lot of people think is because they don't hear the car making a bunch of noise, they're not going as fast. But a lot of the times you're going faster and you have more mass behind you.
And I also loved how you brought up the tires because off camber downhill, you better have some good tires. Continental Sports 02s.
Ooh, one of my personal favorites.
Very good
It's a
tire.
pretty good tire. I can attest.
But I think for Gen, it's not enough because you need the RE71 RS.
No, that was yeah. I recently wearing all-season tire on many of my car because it lasts longer, can handle any kind of situation like wet and stuff.
Also, the time of year we're driving right now.
Yeah.
I'm on all-terrains on a lowered Mercedes, which they've got enough braking, they've got enough cooling, they've got enough handling, and it means I can enjoy the canyons year-round. I can go up in the snow, I can go up in the rain, I can go up in the ice. So it's knowing the time of year because in California, most people just run 200 treadwears all year and act like they can drive the same in every weather, and you can't.
Right. So it's the brakes, the tires, the knowledge of the road, the knowledge of the temperature. What are some of the other things that people need to do prior to a canyon run? What are some of the car prep tips you have?
Ooh, I got a quick one. When you fuel up, a car's center of mass is really important at the end of the day.
Very much so.
If you're carrying too low of a fuel load, you might have a little bit of lightness in the back end. Well, depending on where the fuel tank is located, you want to make sure that for however hard you are driving, that you have a sufficient fuel level and weight
Yes.
to counterbalance, kind of like the weight disparity between, front
Because a
and rear
gallon
axle.
of gas is like 6 pounds.
Something like that.
Yeah.
I've always been told, and I've taken this to heart, that whenever I go up into the canyon, that I will fuel my car up to the maximum because I want that weight in the rear. I need the traction in the rear. And then at the end of the day, a lot of the transfer of motion is towards the rear as well.
With a front engine rear,
With a front
because you're
engine
driving
rear,
a front
yes.
engine rear. Yes.
And honestly, that's the only experience I have. But I mean, again, adjust accordingly depending on your kind of like layout at the end of the day. But
It's my favorite car is early 911 1967. It's 2,000 pound car. And it's like a 70% rear bias car. So think, how much sort of weight transfer changes by how much gas it has in the front.
Yes.
Wow.
Without gas, it's literally
Right.
goes up. Yeah.
And I would even say I would encourage everybody to get the mud guards, because you cannot imagine how many people have their windshields destroyed because of a car in front of them kicking up rocks. It's super annoying.
yeah, I know a guy with a purple 230i that has some mud guards, and I got to say they're pretty snazzy in terms of not allowing rocks to hit your windshield.
That leads to the distance question.
Yeah. So
But sometimes you can't avoid it, even if you have a whole bus lane.
there's a second reason to fill up that. So Jade brought up the fact that you should fill up before you go up the canyons. It's not just for your handling. Sometimes canyon roads get shut down because of something else. It could be a fire. It could be it could be they're hunting for somebody that was like, we live in LA. We live in a crazy crime-ridden city. It's gotten shut down before when I've been up on the mountain and they've been like, you got to go the other way because we're looking for a killer in the hills. And I'm like, what? I'm just trying to go for a drive. What do you mean? So sometimes you need to take the alternate route, and having that extra fuel, if there is an emergency, is also nice to have. So that's another reason for filling up.
Yeah, and the third reason is, you just want to enjoy
Your drive. Yeah, you don't want to have to stop in the
don't
middle.
worry about range anxiety on the fuel.
The two things
gas.
I think you should check while you're filling up, because it's very important. While you're filling up, make sure your tire pressures are where you want them to be. Make sure your fluids are good. It takes you 3 or 4 minutes to walk around the car, check the fluids. And with new cars, it's even easier. You can hit a button on the dash and it'll tell you, hey, oil low, add 1 quart, which we'll call it. Like, it's very simple. So it's just, don't let an easy mechanical problem like, oh, this tire was low on air, and that became a dangerous thing. When you're filling up, walk around your car. And this is something not only for canyon driving, but it's especially for canyon driving. Walk around your car, look, see if any plastic is hanging off, see if any damage is done to the car. Make sure you do a quick inspection when you walk around your car, when you fill up.
Especially in LA during the summer, it's so hot.
Yes.
If you have winter tires, all-terrain tires, those are not going to grip.
The thing I've found about many all-terrain tires that threw me off is the compound's very similar to most 300 and 400 treadwear summer tires. You just have more of it. It's thicker and it's wider blocks. So it's still a similar type of tread formula per se. So it's more like an all-season, but it will work in certain temperatures. But like you're saying, know the temperature range of your tires, because all tires have different temperature ranges.
Right. And definitely do not have anything flying around in your car just in case.
Also very important. Yes. Don't have a bunch of shit in your car. And if there is stuff in your car, put it as low on the ground, like low center of gravity as possible, and secure it so it's not flying back and forth.
I think it's also good to have, like, when you're doing an initial run, as soon as you start in the canyon, right? I think, like, a lot of people, some people like to have music on. I think it's also really good. And I think, like, turn off your music and then just take a few practice corners and make sure that, like, your tire temps are pretty good as well.
Yes.
Just take a few practice runs, because there's people that have almost binned it into the first corner at ACH because they didn't have proper setup. They didn't have proper time to kind of adjust to canyon driving.
Yep.
People kind of get into kind of the rhythm as they drive more. They're like, oh, like I'm one with the car kind of thing.
Yes.
So just like take a little bit of time, get adjusted, push your limit here and there, or not push your limit, but increase the limit
Slowly.
Yeah,
I like that. Yeah.
We're going to talk about later about are you listening to music, Eurobeat or not?
Yeah.
Eurobeat is great.
Are we? I don't listen to anything when I'm in spirited driving.
Yeah, I don't listen to any music. I personally don't blast anything. If anything, I would just play meditation music.
Yes, you've told me this before.
Right?
Yeah.
I literally do like the Headspace app and you'd be like, inhale, count your breath. And I literally just go into the corner like freaking, God knows how fast. But, that calms me down, right?
Air on the G string from Bach is very soothing. It's classical artists.
It's funny you mentioned that because the most seen I ever felt driving or like growing up recently was when I watched the Gran Turismo movie. It's funny that you mentioned Gran Turismo earlier because Kenny G has always been my locked in drive. Like if you are riding with me and Kenny G is on, you better sit down and just. And so when he had that as his thing, I was like, no fucking way. I was like, there is no way this is the music that they picked for the Gran Turismo because a lot of our generation who grew up playing Gran Turismo games, calming and soothing music is our actual hype music. So it teaches you to slow down, breathe.
Right. So let's say when your car is ready to go up and you arrive at the car meet.
Yeah.
I feel like when it comes to etiquette, we don't talk enough about what to do at the car meet. Well, first thing I want to bring up is just like when you're arriving at a gas station, you pull to the farthest.
Yes.
So that whoever's behind you can use the other pump, right?
Yes.
You go to a car meet in the canyons or a turnout, don't block the entrance or the exit, right? And then people who have arrived an hour early, they can't pull out.
Yes.
So if you see it's full and there's a walkway, go farther to find another turnout, but don't block anything.
Yeah, leave the path. There should be a safe, and it's the same thing as firefighting. Leave a path in and out of don't block the entrances, like you said.
Also, when you talk to people, right, you see someone with a beautiful 230, in purple. What's the right etiquette? Oh my God, dude, I so love your car. That's just even if you don't feel like it, right? But that's just a template. That's a courtesy.
Curiosity. I think ask people about their cars instead of assume if you see a car that you're curious, there's cars sometimes you'll see it meets and you're like, oh, I don't know, ask them because everyone, you could have, he could have a 911 and you could have a 911. We could all have the same car and it could be the same, but that car means something different to each person that owns it. So I think it's always more interesting going to events, especially canyon events, because that's people who actually drive their cars. I'm sorry, cars and coffee people, but you don't drive your cars. I'm saying it now.
Absolutely don't.
Yeah.
They absolutely don't. Right. Can we just reiterate that once more to the audience?
Yes, cars and coffee people buy their cars so that other people can look at them and they can show off and be like, look what I have. If you go to the canyons, it's because you actually want to experience and enjoy your vehicle.
Too often I've seen the situation where I see these guys in F80, M3s, right? Mm-hmm. And they tune the hell out of it, right? They get new intercooler. They get the nice expensive BBS wheels. They do all the bells and whistles, right? And at the end of the day, they're never in a canyon. They're never driving. They just want to be seen. They like the flashy bling bling of opening their fucking hood for some reason. And I'm just that gives you the satisfaction out of everything. You spent 30, $40,000+ on this.
Yeah.
And this is what you do. Give me a fucking break.
Right.
I don't know.
And I think that regardless of if you're a driver or not, I think there's a ground rule, at least I would like to lay out. Don't fucking touch my car. Because
that's easy. Yeah, that's everywhere.
Right. I talked in length about this. Don't touch a man's watch or a man's car because that's the equivalent of touch a man's dick. And then if you want to open my door, say, can I please see the interior? Is it okay to do this? Is it okay? Don't just freaking pull the door open. There's some guys who are really impressed by my PPF 2 weeks ago, and they're like, "Oh, this whole car is PPF," and you just touch the PPF. I'm like, "Hold on, did I ask you to touch it? You can't do that."
I don't think you should ever touch anybody's car anywhere without permission. It's different when not different, but friends that that are like, "Oh, this got new," and if you know the person and you're like, "Okay, cool, this is new. I'm checking stuff or I'm alive," that's fine. But if you don't even know something and you're like, oh, the leather's so nice and this and that, like I don't know you. Like would you walk into somebody's house and just start picking up their vases or plates and like going through, oh, well, I like this vase, I like this. It doesn't make sense to do that anywhere else. So why would it make sense to do it at a car event?
Right. I get so triggered just hearing you say that because that happened to me.
Ever
Since I got my new car, people touch the center wood that is open pore.
Oh, yeah.
One of the people started scratching the wood, if you can believe it. We're no longer friends. I'm no longer talking to this guy, right? He started playing with the vent control and laughing while doing so, kind of rubbing his finger against the wood and scratching it, even when instructed not to do so.
Yeah.
Right? And then someone else was complimenting on PPF, and they were touching the entire car's PPF. When the mudguard was there, they were like, oh, how much? It was just like a whole bunch of people. I've even had guys who were like, can I see your sticker? Why would I carry my sticker with me? The MSRP.
It's just a dick measuring contest at that point. It's
Yeah.
like, oh, did you really like bag out on the options?
And then when he was talking about the body painted, the plastic on the side, right? He didn't just point at it. He raised his foot, almost touching the side of my car, used his foot to point at that panel.
That's interesting.
Can you believe that? It's just so insane.
Glad
No
that I haven't came across people like that.
Yeah. But the thing is that sometimes when we walk away, we never know what happened to the car.
Yeah.
Right. But I'm just saying this is what I caught it because he knew I was there. He would do that. Imagine when I'm not there.
That's a societal issue, though. You see nowadays on like, let's go TikTok, right? Like, let's say on TikTok you'll see these people just laying on Ferraris and Lambos and Porsches. They're like, oh, I'm going to just take pictures on stuff. Like, there was a basic thing we were taught as kids is like, don't touch what's not yours.
Right.
And people still do it because their parent, they had bad parenting. That's it. That's just across the board. This last generation has put their kids in front of a TV, and that's how they raise them.
Also, like a sense of entitlement with the next generation too.
Mm-hmm.
And the two people that were doing that, they were young. They were obviously newbies to ACH.
Yeah.
And they were handed down a pretty nice car, right? But I have to work for it. And I always say to people, my car is $50,000, $60,000. You know how many rich people's dicks and fucking asses after kids and suck out $55,000? And I finally got this car and you're fucking touching it. Dude, that's my whole life. Yeah. Okay, maybe you got that for free, but I didn't. Jen, you've had a lot of experience hanging out with different crowds because you've been around for quite a while in the Canyon driving scene. You brought up a really good point about dealing with different car owners, like supercars, JDM, Eurocars. What is your experience with that?
Based on my experience, I actually feel closer to JDM driver because they actually, not JDM, but more like a Japanese car driver like Miyata and GR86. You know, these drivers actually go to very technical road and, they just try to do nice canyon thing. And I'm a Porsche guy. But unfortunately, most of the Porsche people just don't do technical road like I do, like a Bouquet or Lake Hughes or Latigo Canyon in Malibu. These are the road I really like because there's no traffic, super technical, and but I see GR86 or Miata driver on this road, but rarely see any Porsche guy or never see supercar driver on this road.
Just going off of what you said, right? If you see a beat-up Japanese car like S2000 or a Miata, and you see a beat-up 997, 996 or something along those lines, do not compete with that guy. Those people really drive, right? When you see like a brand new 992, oh, you can bully that guy. It doesn't matter. They probably don't drive. They're like the cars and coffee type of people. Yeah. But it's not always true, but it's usually true.
Luxury car or sports car ownership has changed dramatically over the last maybe 5 years because so many people bought it because it doesn't depreciate the value or it's a way to show off your wealth or success. And I really don't like hanging out with these people. They tend to go to Malibu Sunday and hang out at Malibu County Mart or Leersing and some of those places, and kind of cruising on PCH or Encinal Canyon, some of the easy road. And I really don't have anything to, feel closer to these people. Yeah.
Right. So speaking of the culture of these groups of people, right, on different roads, Dom, how would you describe the difference between Malibu and ACH and Azusa?
Malibu, as he was saying, lightweight, good handling cars, well-balanced cars, anything that weighs under 4,000 pounds, I would say.
Miata.
A Miata would be great for Malibu roads. 911, the older 911s are better for Malibu roads because they're lighter. It's punch. You're not doing really over like 70 in some of these roads at all. So it's literally tight, punchy, corner to corner. You're on the throttle for a second. You're rotating through. As to where ACH is very, very friendly to a lot of people, which is also how some people get in trouble because some corners on there, theoretically, you could go up in the triple digits, you know? And so you're like, oh, well, that corner was a long sweeper. So now this next one, I should be able to do the same, but you're not. So Jade said, lock in, feel the road, feel what it is. I think Azusa is
Kind of like an in-between.
It's an in-between. So the veterans in the canyons that know Azusa enjoy the road, but there's a lot of the young kids that are just given cars and go up there and drive way beyond their limits. And I also had that issue with, what's that? The road, Mount Wilson off of AC. I never did Mount Wilson because now people are up there posting videos of themselves double laning. Like, how more incriminating could you be? They're posting videos like, oh, double lane record, driving head on into traffic and just acting like the lanes don't exist. And they're acting like they're fast. All you're doing if you're double laning is driving straight. You're just saying you can't drive.
Right.
You're just you want to do that, go to a racetrack and show that you actually can. But most of these kids, if you call them out and you're like, okay, you're fast, bring it to the track. They never will. And then the few of them that do are the slowest people on track because they never actually learned any like driving skills. They just learned how to cut the road.
Right. And they think that they're so fast.
And they think they're the fastest. Yeah. They're like, I can beat anybody.
Right. And I think that, Jen, you always say that Malibu is for true drivers.
I mean, some road on Malibu is for
Decker Canyon.
And at the dawn or evening, there's holy foreign culture.
Yes.
And good old, touge driving still exists there, which I don't go at the evening because I don't see very well when it's dark. But sometime I go, I'm very surprised to see, S2000 really, going corners very smoothly and truly respects that.
Right.
Yeah.
So you have like a 4,500 pounds G80 M3. Do not go to Malibu.
It's not
So bumpy.
Yeah, it's not good for the chassis. And that's the other thing is like a lot of people they'll drive every road like your car can do. Like certain roads, your car just isn't really built to do.
Yeah.
And I think everyone thinks these Swiss Army knives, I'll put them as of new cars that have all these computers that can do 90% of the work for you. They think they can drive anywhere and they're going to get into a physics issue.
Right. So lastly, let's do a service announcement. What are some of the known accident zones or danger zones on Angeles Crest, let's say?
The big turnout, because there's so many people that take photos there. There's a bunch of people that park there, and it's because people want to show off. So they try to come into that corner way too hot, which is stupid because one way, actually both ways, it's kind of a decreasing radius. So you're going into it at one speed, but you're exiting it slower than you entered it. And a lot of people don't realize that. And they just floor it through the corner and understeer and either go towards a mountain, towards oncoming traffic, or towards the crowd of people that is standing right there.
Wow.
Yeah, I'll do you one just before getting to the big turnout on Angeles Crest. There's a corner that I describe as Dead Man's Corner, where I've noticed, there's a few photographers that take shots from there, but I've also noticed a few crosses that have been laid there.
Yeah.
And I can just assume, somebody just flew off this cliff and just died.
Yeah.
And it's literally a left-hand sweeper. If you're going towards, and if you're coming up to Newcombs, it's a little bit of a left-hand sweeper. And then as you descend, there's these there's like a bathroom off to the side of the road, and then you go straight into the forested section, right?
Yep.
But yeah, it's this left-hand sweeper, crosses everywhere. I just assumed people died there.
Yeah.
Oh, those flowers. Yeah.
And then the other kind of big zone that I've noticed in terms of accidents is the S's. Before what some people describe as the shadies. A lot of people have kind of lift off, oversteered off the mountain, and it's like, oh.
Can you explain also another reason the shadies is dangerous, particularly in the mornings? I know that you'll know
It's
this.
damp.
Yes. The trees block. So we have moisture up there, and you need to always pull whatever you're driving at, pull 10% back before you hit the shadies.
Yeah.
And also the deers.
Well, yeah, but the water and the ice and the weather changes that we have.
It's particularly dangerous over there.
Right.
Yes. Can I ask a question for Gen? Because I feel like this is something that a lot of us would like to know. You grew up in the Japanese touge scene.
Yes.
How is it vastly different, the LA touge scene and the LA Canyon scene versus the Japanese scene?
Japan, okay, first of all, what's happening in Japan now, heavily enforced, and everybody has a driving cameras and speeding cameras. So so-called touge culture in Japan is pretty much gone.
Okay.
Fast, that's kind of fast. But back then, there was a culture that you go middle of the night because there's no other traffic. And generally what they do is they can do drift on downhill only. Uphill is one who just, the cars that go up.
Grip runs.
Slowly, and they drive further right side of the road.
Okay.
So, downhill driver can do draft and can do a little bit of the double laning. And so that was kind of touge culture that I know.
Okay.
Then there's Shutoko, Blackbird kind of culture. That's also pretty much gone by now because of the enforcement. And I don't do any speeding on highway stuff. So.
Right.
Yeah.
So which one do you prefer, here or the Japan's
touge
culture?
So something I wanted to add is California, the best.
Wow.
Japan on touge, literal speed limit is like a 30 at the top.
Wow.
And you being enforced. And everybody has a speeding, driving record, drive recorder. So it's really hard to see, fast driver in touge nowadays. And I go to Europe very often, do a bunch of drives and speed camera all over. And, and California, because of the all year round drivability and, authority hasn't yet doing speed camera all over the road. So I think driving situation in California is probably the best in the world.
Wow, that's so refreshing to hear.
Yeah.
Thank you for that answer, and thank you for letting me interject that one, because when he mentioned it, I was like, we need to know.
Yeah. So it's good to know that despite all of our frustrations and all of our complaints, if you will, during this entire podcast, California is still one of the best driving places in the world. So I'm grateful that we're all here doing this podcast, enjoying just being drivers, and Jade's new M2 CS is just parked out there. I cannot wait. I just cannot wait but to check out the interior. I want to thank you all for coming today. Hope you all enjoyed coming to the show. And I want to appreciate our listeners for consistently supporting us as well.
For those who are new to touge or, these LA Canyon driving, please consider buying Miata or GR86, very lightweight, underpowered car for 1 or 2 years before going for BMW M car or Porsche GT3s and that high-powered car.
Got it.
It's very important to drive slow car fast and not use too much brake and learn to drive very smoothly. Yeah.
Wise words from Gen. Thank you very much. Sociology of Cars podcast is produced by Sociology of Everything, supported by 0 to 60 Studios in San Dimas, California. This is Jimmy XIE. We'll see you next time.